Show the back camera first of all.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock and we're going to get started on time and try to stay on schedule. My name is Preston Castillo, National President of the Southern Alumni Federation. Welcome to 2015 Leadership Summit. We've got a jam-packed day prepared for you. We talk about a few things in terms of what the goal of this summit is. As you know, we decided to go from having a conference every year to having a conference every other year and having a leadership summit every other year compared to that. And so this is our second time having a leadership summit. The idea is for our leadership summit is to dig deep into how do we make our organization better, how do we make our university better, how do we collaborate as much as we possibly can. So today, instead of just a lot of presentations to bring you up to speed, as we do with our regular conference, the idea is that this is going to be a working session. So we begin with our first session, and our first session is our Alumni Strategic Planning session. For the last 1 year that we've been in office, this administration, we've been doing strategic planning. We're going to see how that works so far. We're going to talk about where we go from here in terms of helping our university to be the best that possibly can be. And to lead that discussion, I will tell you this sounds good, and that is that what we have done is and turn those lemons into lemonade. Dr. Christina Bates, who is prepared to be here today, is actually, you can see her on the screen, Dr. Bates is there. And what happened is that we learned that she could travel. She is pregnant, and her doctor said, you can't fly. And we said, not at all. This gives us an opportunity to showcase what we've been doing in terms of using our technology all year long. We've been having meetings via video conference twice a month since we got started, sometimes more often than that. So we said that really should not stop us at all. So she's going to present today via video conference. I think it's quite impressive. I will say that Dr. Christina Bates is not only a PhD scholar, she is also a JD. She owns Bates Consulting LLC. She is a phenomenal facilitator. I told her I wouldn't embarrass her by going through her entire CV. I'll turn it over to Dr. Bates so that we can jump right into it in terms of talking about our strategic planning the next hour and a half. Please enjoy. Dr. Bates.
Experience engaging in various aspects of it, while others perhaps have been less involved in that piece of the process. So I want to make sure that we walk through a bit about some of the key points around strategic planning. Then we'll move right into looking at all the work you folks have done thus far. I've had an opportunity to speak with both Preston and Shayla about all the successes you've had in implementing the plan so far. Today is more about, as Preston said, looking at where we're at, seeing if we need some course correction, reviewing some of the progress and what that means for next steps. But we will use the session to do that. During the first 10 to 15 minutes, as I'm going over some points regarding strategic planning, I would ask, we'll take a handful of questions. Shayla will move to the middle of the room. Let me know if there's a question. I'll take it. I'll try to answer it briefly and as thoroughly as I can. The goal is to kind of move through that fairly quickly. I'm happy to take questions following the session today if there are others coming out of it, but we like to keep focused on the actual working part of the session. So on the first slide, I just walked through. We'll probably get through updating the plan. I'll take some notes and things real time to turn this back around to you folks within the next day or two so that you can see the fruits of what you've done today and then use that obviously going forward for the next phase. So with that, we'll jump right in. We'll cover the second bullet point, food for thoughts and methodology. We'll review the plan, and then we may get to the KPIs depending on timing, but I think we'll put the bulk we spent on reviewing and making some preliminary notes for some updates. So some quick points on strategic planning. I won't cover these slides in depth. I know you all have a copy and you'll walk away with that. A couple of things I wanted to point out, and that's part of why we're having this session today, is that, you know, the major tenet of strategic planning is that there's a disciplined and structured management process. And what that means is there's specific thought given to where are we trying to go as an organization, single time frame, what are some of the priorities we have as an organization, what does that mean from an operationalizing those priorities standpoint, how do we put some preliminary measures in place to track our progress on implementation. So at the end of the day, when you're done with the strategic planning process, ideally you have made some future-oriented decisions about where you're going as an organization, how you're going to get there, and also thinking about things along the way, like who are you there to serve, why do you exist, and how are you going to bring that future vision to fruition. So it is a very, or it should be a very methodical and structured process with some tangible outputs that you then use for the next 3 to 5 years, for example, to kind of guide where you're going as an organization. And of course, make some course corrections as external and other kinds of factors impact what you're doing as an organization. So it's just a general kind of why are we doing this? What does the process generally entail? So what is the strategic plan? As I said, leading the session, and I know Preston has done a lot of work with you folks on some of this already, but you really need with a document at some point that kind of captures, here's our plan over the next 3 to 5 years, and then of course there will be updates. That's somewhat different than some of what you're in the process of doing now, which is the execution on the plan. So my understanding is, and I've had a chance to look at it, and I know you've had some tremendous success with implementation. And right now it seems like you are in the execution phase. So what that means is you've taken this plan that you've worked on for close to years, my understanding. You've started executing on various pieces of it. You've gained a lot of traction and made a lot of progress. So right now you're really kind of in the execution phase. And that is a good time actually to step back and say, what should we continue to do? What might we change in terms of what we're doing? Are there some things that we thought we wanted to achieve that now we recognize maybe weren't completely on point and we need to make some adjustments there? So I think now is the time to take that look back, recognize some of the things you've done well, and think about where you want to go moving forward. And that's part of what we'll be doing today, and my understanding is throughout the summit, is think typically about those kinds of things. So there's a difference between the planning process, obviously, and then where you're at, which is the execution. And that's really the alignment of your resources and your actions with what you said your plan was, and making the necessary kind of course corrections. Hopefully those are more tweaks than they are whole course corrections at this point, which my understanding is based on what you've done thus far, that it would be more of the former, i.e. the tweaks than the latter, which would be any kind of major shifts in where you're going, or more importantly from an execution standpoint, the how you're going to get there. I'll take a pause here for just a moment to make sure, does anyone have any questions? Does anything I said surprising or unexpected?
Doing great, Christina.
Okay. So as I said, there's a couple of key steps, and I'm really simplifying here what is a far more detailed paradigm for strategic planning, but for purposes of this setting, I'll try to crystallize. So we had a preparation phase, which you've done with Preston. You had a development phase, which was some of those preliminary strategic planning documents. Right now, you're in the execution phase, and that's where we're going to be doing some tightening and course correction. And then at some point, obviously looking back and doing some more formal refinements and fine tuning. And as I said, some of the output from today meetings like this in the future, among other things, as you continue to execute. So today we're really kind of in the pre-execution phase and getting at some of the refinement. I would think a lot of that fine-tuning should be, after this session at some point down the road, probably, this summer or later. The methodology for today, a couple of things I want you to keep in mind as we go through. When we talk about the strategic goals and imperatives, some things you may want to think about off of that meeting. Do you feel that they stress the Federation's primary objectives at this time? So basically, have we covered the things that we think are most important, and have we covered them thoroughly? You also want to make sure to tie back to the larger vision and mission, not only SUAFs, but the larger universities. For example, I understand Preston's got a panel of folks coming in later that represent more of the university viewpoint at large, and then of course to the broader HBCUs. I would assume there's going to be some type of alignment there depending on the objectives. So you want to make sure, is there that alignment where there should be, and if there's not, how do we get that alignment? You want to think about the relationships among the goals. You'll notice as we get into a lot of these goals overlap and intersect and are dependent. That's some of that. In fact, in most instances, that's how it should be. But thinking about where they're interdependent and how a change with one could impact the other is important when you engage in kind of managing the whole plan holistically. So understanding those connections will be important. To recognize some of those interdependencies that you may have not recognized prior. And then finally, and this is where we get down to translating goals into objectives. And if we were to try to translate these goals into measurable constructs, i.e., my overarching goal is I'd like to get a little weight. Some of the measurable goals around that might be I'd like to lose 10 pounds, over the next 3 months, no more than say 3 to 4 pounds in a given month. So that now gives me something very specific to track around a broader goal, which is trying to lose some weight and get healthy. So it's just a way for us to assess where we're at versus where we want to be and make sure that we're able to make corrections as necessary, and I'm given that those corrections are the ones that are most helpful and on point. So some things to keep in mind. When we get to course corrections, and again, I recognize this is going to be kind of quick because of timing, but you want to keep a couple of things in mind. Are there internal and external factors we should be looking at when we recommend a course correction? Have we taken those into account? And how would those course corrections affect an enrollment? Second, where have we had issues with that? Because an issue may be indicating that a course correction is needed. It's not always the case, but it could be indicated. So we want to think about that in simple terms. Where have we had issues? And might a course correction be the answer at this point? Number 3, you don't want to forget about successes, because I always say that with every success comes some new challenge, because now you're able to perhaps see things you didn't see before. You have that additional experience under you, so it's good that it's a success. But inevitably, what I've seen most of the time is once you reach that point, it's like once you know multiplication, right? You recognize there are other kinds of mathematical problems out there to solve that you otherwise wouldn't have known about. So what opportunities might those kinds of new things present for the Federation? And then, of course, the fourth goal is getting back to the bigger picture. We don't want to lose sight of that. Is what are other HBCUs pursuing? What are their strategic plans perhaps look like? Are there opportunities to adopt some best practices? How might those inform what we're looking at, any course correction we may want to make? So again, doing some more holistic thinking, doing very specific and detailed thinking, and that's why a lot of strategic planning is the ability to effectively toggle between those two ways, of thinking, which at times can be difficult depending on how much you're trying to manage within that given plan. I won't spend too much time on the KPIs because I suspect we won't really be able to get much into this. To give you just a quick Quick kind of snapshot of my thinking there is again that the point there is that the indicators of the progress. You don't need to have a whole lot of them. You know, these things well, 3 to 5 on point. It really gets to the heart of that trying to measure. That's what of this session. I think we've got enough data here to work with for the goals today. The first one is